Every once in a while, a car will show up for service with a water leak problem. This isn't a difficult problem to solve if you know a couple of basic sealing techniques and use a little common sense. There are two methods used to seal windshield and backlight glass in Chrysler-built vehicles. This is the compact passenger model installation. The glass is inserted into a weather strip, which in turn fits into the sheet metal fence. A bead of sealer between the glass and the weather strip, and between the weather strip and the fence, prevents water from leaking into the interior of the car. If the sealer isn't applied properly, you get a gap or pinhole where the water can work its way past the weather strip and get into the car. The other method of sealing glass is used on intermediate and full-size cars. Butyl tape goes between the glass and the fence and acts as the seal to keep water and wind out. The water test is simple to do and is a quick way to find leaks. First, though, isolate the area you're going to check with masking tape. The trick is not to use too much water pressure. About a 3-inch stream is all you'll need. Start the stream at the bottom. Then run it along each A-post and work it up across the top of the windshield. On some jobs, it's necessary to remove the moldings to find a leak. There are two special tools available to make the job easier. The difference between the tools is here, on the end that contacts the molding clip. This one is longer. It's used on moldings with a high crown. The other one is short, so it can fit under low-profile moldings, like the ones used on compact car windshields. Moldings are held on with clips. The tool is slipped under the molding and moved along the edge until it contacts the clip. As it moves to the middle of the clip, it pushes the retaining tang out of the lip of the molding. The moldings on compacts take a little special care. Twist the tool a little too much in one direction and you'll crack the windshield. Too much in another direction and you'll ruin the molding. And most of the clips have sealer all around them, so you have to work cautiously. See, this is what you'll run into. If you couldn't find the leak with the molding on, try another water test with it removed. Make sure the area is dry. Then run a strip of masking tape over the glass and weather strip. Then conduct the test. A leak inside may not show up at the same place you're running the water. It could be coming in off to either side a ways. Here's what can happen. Let's say the sealer didn't adhere properly and there's a space underneath it. Water can enter even a small pinhole and travel along until it finds another place to exit. This could be several inches or even a foot or so away from the place it entered. Before we get into sealing methods, let's take a look at the materials available to do a good job. This is the Auto Glass Adhesive and Sealer. It's used to seal windshield, backlight, and stationary glass to the weather strip and weather strip to metal. The vinyl foam strip is used for building up low spots under door and trunk weather strips. The rope caulk sealer, Dum-Dum, is used to seal open metal seams and pinholes. The vinyl acrylic sealant is used to seal drip rail seams and trunk opening seams. The vinyl molding adhesive is for door, trunk, and tailgate weather strips. If there are any gaps at metal joints where weather strip makes contact, you'll need plastic solder for filling them. This material is a polyester resin and must be mixed with a cream hardener before it's ready to use. So read the directions on the can before you begin to use it. For demonstration purposes, let's say a leak showed up along the cowl top between the weather strip and the body. Make sure the area is dry before you begin sealing. We put masking tape along the cowl top to help prevent paint damage and to make it easier to clean up. There have been some instances where leaks have occurred along the section of the fence where it changes from a grooved section to a flat section because the sealer was not applied heavy enough in this area to fill the space. Insert the applicator tip between the weather strip and the cowl, so the tip is approximately 3/8 of an inch under the weather strip. Pump sealer under the weather strip until it is visible between the weather strip and the cowl. Seal the entire cowl. When you reach the A-post, continue to apply the sealer up along the weather strip for about 2 inches. When you have a bead of sealer across the entire cowl top, take a trim stick and force the sealer around the 4 windshield retaining tabs and the molding clips. Retest for leaks after repair. Some leak complaints can be corrected with a piece of bent wire. These drain slots take care of water that collects in the plenum chamber. If they're stopped up, water can be drawn over the lip of the stovepipe into the interior vents. Let's get into finding leaks around doors. When you're ready to start, have someone sit in the car and watch for water coming in as you work the hose around the gap at the door edge on the outside. Start at the lower edge of the door and work your way up. If the weather strip isn't sealing properly, the leak will show up in a hurry. Mark the location of the leak with a piece of tape. There may be more than one leak, so correct any leak you find before you go on with your testing. Make sure the area you're fixing is dry and clean so the adhesive will stick tight. If a customer complains of water getting into the interior from the door, there are 2 things to check. Make sure the drain holes are not plugged. Next, remove the inside trim panel and make sure the plastic water shield under the trim is not torn or improperly installed. Re-cement the water shield if it's not sealing properly. It directs water splash to the drains, away from the inside trim panel. This is a poor glass-to-weather strip fit. The weather strip should seal over the top of the glass as the door is closed. If the weather strip does not seal properly, you may have to adjust the glass or move the weather strip retainer. You can check the fit with a flexible strip of paper. Use several strips of paper along the top of the glass. If they pull out too easy, you found a possible leak point. Move the weather strip retaining molding outward so the weather strip will fit against the glass tighter. Check the drip rail for open holes. If you find any, fill them with dum-dum. If there is a complaint of trunk leakage, check to see that the deck lid is flush with the surrounding metal surfaces. Open the trunk and see if the surfaces of the trough are bent or distorted. Have an assistant get into the trunk. He uses the flashlight while you use the hose. If the test shows a low point, you'll have to build up the area with plastic solder or vinyl foam tape. If you use plastic solder, you'll have to repaint the repaired area with the proper touch-up paint. If there is a pinhole in one of the seams, apply air-dry vinyl to the area. After it dries, cover it with touch-up paint. If taillights are the source of a leak, there are several things to look for. First, check the lens for cracks. Next, make sure all the retaining nuts are on. And make sure all the nuts are torqued correctly. Some leaks are caused by a displaced gasket. If it's not flush against the surface of the lens, water can work its way between the lens and the housing into the trunk. Remove the taillight and apply a bead of sealer around the gasket. Body sealing is not a difficult process if you track down the source of the leak and use the materials available to correct the problem. Do it right, and the customer will be happy, and you'll have the satisfaction of doing a good job.